It's 2024, perhaps your year of trying new things. Maybe you want to try an instrument, like the ocarina, but you might be talking yourself out of it. Why might you not want to buy an ocarina, and how might each of these reasons be overcome? First, ocarinas might be noisy to the people around you or your neighbors. Any musical instrument can be noisy, and if you live in an apartment with thin walls or have housemates, it can be a real big concern. I will not try to tell you that ocarinas are not noisy. My parents have years of data stating otherwise. But there are ways around that noise, at least letting that noise bother other people. First, you can play outside. Most ocarinas are exceptionally portable, and plastic ocarinas are nearly indestructible, so it's fairly safe to play them outdoors. I know a lot of people who love going out into nature and playing on their ocarinas. However, if that's not realistic for you, or you don't really want to play in public at all, there are options. First, you could eliminate your roommates. Or you can use Mr. Mute. I have the Japanese version, but it's also available in English. Using Mr. Mute, you can reduce the volume of your ocarina by up to 90%. You can barely hear that. And the great thing about Mr. Mute is that you don't have to change your breath pressure to use it if you set it up correctly. It does take a bit of time and experimentation to set up properly with any given ocarina, and you do need to change the settings for any given ocarina that you have, but it is such a nice lifesaver to not bother other people. You could probably even practice while other people are sleeping, just not in the same room. And if all else fails, you can get quieter ocarinas. As a rule of thumb, ocarinas that are lower breath pressure, lower pitch, or both tend to be quieter. An alto C will be louder than a bass C, and a low breath pressure alto C will typically be quieter than a high breath pressure alto C. Does that make sense? Next, playing ocarinas can require slightly awkward posture with your wrists and introduce some wrist pain, or even carpal tunnel. While that's unlikely, I have somewhat sensitive wrists, and some ocarinas that require more extreme holding postures with your wrists, like not like the Night by Noble, but more like something more extreme like that, can trigger some wrist pain for extended playing. It's not an issue most people have to deal with, but if you do and do have sensitive wrists, you can get an inline ocarina like the Mountain Ocarina or Coda Everyday Carry Flute, or a pendant. Those typically have straight wrist postures. Next, you might not want an ocarina because you're not a Zelda fan. Even though most people in Western society know ocarinas because of Zelda, they predate Zelda by thousands of years. Like, I bought my first ocarina because I was a Zelda fan. I'm still a Zelda fan, but just as much, if not more, I'm an ocarina fan. So if you're not a Zelda fan, you don't need to get a Zelda replica. Ocarinas span so much of history, from ancient Mesoamerica to China to Italy and beyond. There's so much history and love behind these instruments, even if you remove Zelda entirely. But what if you don't have any musical skill or interest in learning music? That is a tough one because ocarinas are musical instruments. However, if you're health conscious, want to prevent risk of getting dementia, learning a musical instrument and playing it somewhat regularly really fortifies your brain and improves your mental health. I have a separate video discussing the brain benefits of playing music, but ocarinas are one of the easiest instruments to get started playing. They may take a lifetime to master, but they have one of the easiest initial learning curves of any instrument. So if you don't have any talent, an ocarina might prove you otherwise. Another common issue that people have about starting playing the ocarina is that they don't have anyone to play with, and that is a real concern. Ocarinas are obscure, niche instruments in most countries. If I walk up to a random person on the streets here in California and I say, "Do you know what an ocarina is?" chances are they will either say no or ask, "Is that the thing from Zelda?" More likely, they'll say no, what's an ocarina? As such, if most people don't even know about an instrument, chances are people who know about it and play it are really few in number. So playing the ocarina can be a really lonely thing, especially if your local area has no other ocarinists. Moreover, you probably won't have local ocarina classes or ocarina group meetups. It is difficult. I struggled with that loneliness for a very long time. However, there are a lot of great online communities where you can find your people, even if it's not in person. My group of choice, the Global Ocarina Community, even has real-life events. I performed at Ocarina Fest in Texas in October last year. There were nearly 100 ocarina lovers there, and that's the most ocarina lovers I've met in one place in my entire life. It was amazing. Host a panel at your local convention. That's what I did. That's how I even got on the radar for being a part of Okabanda. If the community doesn't exist, it's there online, or you can build it. But Andy, I don't have money to buy musical instruments. Well, good thing, a good starter plastic ocarina will cost you around $30. The Night by Noble is on Amazon and it's usually about $30, and you can get the Bravura by Focalink from Songbird for 10% off using code Andy10 on songbirdocarina.com for about $30 as well. Compared to just about every other musical instrument, ocarinas are incredibly affordable. Even really fancy, expensive ocarinas like the Spencer Ocarina of Time, which costs like $300, that's so cheap for a fancy instrument. A fancy violin will cost you thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. A fancy ocarina, a few hundred. I am speaking from a fairly privileged place to say that $30 isn't very expensive, but I'm just saying that compared to just about any other instrument, ocarinas may take the cake for affordability. Maybe tin whistles are cheaper, but I like ocarinas more. Another reason people never pick up a musical instrument is that they're intimidated by reading music because they can't yet. The ocarina, just like many other instruments, have many accessible ways to ease you into learning how to read music. However, if you go to tabs-ocarina.com, you can find so many songs and you can find them in tabs for your specific type of ocarina. You have 12 holes with subholes, 10 holes without subholes, most common double ocarinas, 6-hole pendants, 5-hole pendants, 4-hole pendants, and get this, sheet music. So you can reference the tabs for 12-hole with the sheet music to help you ease into reading sheet music. And on top of that, if you're able to read ocarina tabs that show the fingerings for each note, a lot of method books include both tabs and sheet music on the same line to help ease you into reading sheet music. I don't recommend that you stay on tabs forever because you can only use them to play songs that you intuitively know by ear. Like for I Want It That Way, it's See, I didn't see the rhythm, so I messed up. Tabs make reading music accessible and help build the mind-body connection between seeing and playing and breathing and all of that with your musical mind-bodiness. My hair's getting wild. But they're best used as a stepping stone to help you learn sheet music. I would wager you can learn basic sheet music within a week of maybe 30 minutes a day of practice, and then you can start learning advanced notation within maybe a month. And I bet that within 1 month of dedicated practice, you can be fairly fluent at reading most basic sheet music. So if you're intimidated by the prospect of needing to read music and just don't want to pick up a musical instrument for that reason, you have tabs to help you get started, and then they can help you ease in to the sheet music. And worst case, if you never want to read music, you'll probably get a really good ear for playing songs. Another common complaint with the ocarina is that there's very few learning resources, or you can't even find the learning resources. Well, if you're watching this video, chances are you're able to find some learning resources. I'm a learning resource, not necessarily for advanced music theory, but the basics, getting introduced to the ocarina, finding the right ocarina for you. I'm a learning resource. There's so many other content creators who make great learning resources. On top of that, there's a wide variety of ocarina method books. For example, my friend David at davidericramos.com, he sells both PDF and physical copies of an ocarina method book that he wrote. And this one comes with a lot of video supplements, so it's not just reading. We like not just reading when it comes to learning music. Songbird also sells an extremely comprehensive method book as well. You can use code Andy10 for a discount on that if you want to buy it from them. And if you don't want to buy a method book, there are so many videos on YouTube if you just search how to play the ocarina. There's plenty of videos by David, there's videos by a great creator named Gino Luciani, and there's so many more people who will give you tutorials on how to play the ocarina. Ocarinas do not have as many formal resources as many instruments. However, you cannot say that there are no resources. A lot of them are more beginner-oriented, and becoming an advanced ocarinist often requires a lot of self-study and self-practice using other instruments' method books. The piccolo is a great analog for soprano ocarinas, so in terms of like music to play, but there are resources, and if you're advanced enough of a player that these resources are too basic for you, chances are you're able to figure out how to find the next step yourself. And the last reason why you might not want to buy an ocarina, you have too many ocarinas already. I am against rampant consumerism, but do you have too many ocarinas? I don't think you do. Buy another ocarina. If it's from Songbird, use code Andy10. I'm not sponsored, I just like their ocarinas and I get a cut of sales that use my code. You can support the channel by using my links, but I am not sponsored. But I do have a video to help you figure out if you do have too many ocarinas, but chances are you don't. So what are you waiting for? If you still don't want an ocarina, I don't think I can help you at this point. And if there's additional reasons why someone might not want an ocarina, why you might not want an ocarina, let me know in the comments. And I will fight to overcome that reason too. Hello, Momo. Please don't step on my keyboard. Thank you. Please don't knock down my ocarinas either. Oh, Momo, you're a good boy. We're gonna zoom out a bit so you can see my kitty. I want the ocarina community to grow and for the ocarina to be a better known instrument. And that starts with everybody who decides to buy an ocarina and continues with everyone who shares the ocarina in some way, whether that's with your friends or whether that's online. Special thanks to my patrons Josh and Logan, and I hope I've convinced everyone else to buy an ocarina. Please press those good YouTube buttons. Say goodbye, Mr. Momo. Bye.